The governor announces a special legislative session for property tax relief. The pretty cringy photo op. Denver loses another planned micro-community site for people living on the streets. As veterinarians step up for Coloradans who often have to choose between their pets and housing.
I'm really looking for a housing that will accept us 4 dogs and me, myself.
And the group that's getting veterans with disabilities rolling again, exploring sports they thought were off limits after their injuries. It's a word of thanks for Veterans Day. Tonight on Next. Coloradans called the governor's bluff. Jared Polis refused to give voters another option for property tax relief so that people would support his plan to raid Tabor refunds. Voters still shot down Prop HH by 20 points. So here's what's funny. The governor did have a backup plan for tax relief. He just didn't want you to know. Maybe it's not funny. You decide if it's funny.
Okay, we're going to find out what the plan is. Voters said no to Prop H. We're going to see what the plan is to figure out property tax relief. Looks like a special session for property tax relief. Good morning, everybody.
That's how the governor announced today that he's going to call the legislature back into session to work on property tax relief without raising other taxes. Democrats run everything at the Capitol these days. This might be the one time that they wish that they didn't, because any solution on taxes is up to them. Here's politics guy Marshall Zellinger.
I speak as Jared Polis.
Even though Democratic Governor Jared Polis has called the state legislature back to work following the defeat of Prop HH, he does not appear to have his own Plan B.
I want to be clear, we don't have a particular plan in the sense of the actual policy, but we want to give the legislature the room to use the $200 million for property tax relief, to use more than that for property tax relief.
The state legislature set aside $200 million to be used for Prop HH. With its failure, that $200 million is still there to be spent or saved.
But the easiest pot of money to use is the $200 million that was in HH, that it would be completely irresponsible for me to not call a special session and get out the door.
Despite the failure of Prop HH, there are several parts of it that lawmakers can do without your vote. They can make some of your property value tax-free, and they can lower the state assessment rate, part of the math equation that determines your property tax bill.
And we need people over politics. We need Republicans and Democrats working together to do that.
He said people over politics, and I'm not sure that's accurate. I think this is one more round of government over people.
State Senate Minority Leader Paul Lundeen is one of the Republicans who got a phone call from Polis before Prop HH results started coming in on Tuesday night.
Called to say, may the best policy win. Are there options, and what are your thoughts around property tax relief?
Republicans have no power at the state capitol. Democrats can pass their bills without a single Republican vote. Lundeen supports reduced increases in property tax bills, but not the part where the state backfills the local governments that would get fewer property tax dollars.
Backfill is a euphemism for grow government, for big government. My answer is property taxes are going up. There is no need for a backfill.
Resistance to some of the policy that comes out of the special session may also come from other Democrats.
I think if you have a $5, $10, $20 million home, and there are many $5, $10, $20 million homes in Colorado, I don't think you need property tax relief.
Democratic State Representative Javier Mabry would rather see property tax relief limited to homes with certain property values. At his news conference, Polis said the state can't pick and choose property tax relief for everybody.
No offense to John Elway, he was my hero when I was a kid. I'm not sure he needs a tax break when we're trying to fully fund our schools.
Ooh, another sack on John Elway long after retirement. The special session starts 1 week from Friday, from tomorrow. Lawmakers will work over the weekend in a week. And that next week is Thanksgiving week. So you can imagine they'll probably get the work done by the holiday no matter what. If any property tax relief happens, Kyle, it's going to put a pinch on county commissioners, local governments, special districts, because they're going to have to calculate their budgets based on the new math of whatever the legislature decides, and that's going to put a lot of work on a lot of people that weren't expecting work this time of year.
We get a ton of feedback from Next viewers asking why these local districts need the avalanche of cash that's coming their way with the increased assessments and taxes.
So that was a story I was going to do today until they announced a special session. We're going to work on that for tomorrow. But really, the bulk of your property tax is school districts. And so you would be asking, would a school district reduce their mill that would then reduce your property tax? That's a question we'll get into tomorrow. But the rest of your property tax bill are smaller districts. So even if they did reduce their mill to not take in this windfall, it would be minimal to you. But there are some areas that will do that.
All right, we'll get into that tomorrow. Marshall, thank you. A Republican with a knack for saying offensive things on a variety of topics would like to take that talent to Congress. State Rep Richard Holtorf announced today he is running for the seat being vacated by Ken Buck. Holtorf's a rancher from the Eastern Plains, and he's part of the far-right contingent at the state capitol. There, he called a colleague of color buckwheat. Holtorf told a colleague whose son was murdered in the Aurora Theater shooting that he needed to let go of the murder. He likened people with physical disabilities to those who risk injury by running with the bulls in Spain. Richard Holtorf, everyone. Congressman Ken Buck's decision not to seek re-election has set off a frenzy by Republicans to run to replace Buck in what's going to be a safely Republican seat. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston's plan to end unsheltered homelessness in Denver is focused on those so-called micro-communities, the tiny homes and groups of pallet shelters that the mayor wants to put around the city. But in the past month, the city has scrapped nearly 1/3 of those proposed sites. Today, the mayor's office confirmed that a proposed site in Virginia Village on Birch Street is now off the table. The city says there were logistical issues with the site, and the private landowner who owns the property backed out. Last week, 2 other privately owned sites on Yale and Bannock were also taken off the list. Community pushback played a role in some of those adjustments. The Johnston administration says that it will be able to have 3 sites up and running by January, and their goal is still to have one of those sites in every city council district. So as Denver tries to move people off of the streets and into shelter, others are being forced onto the streets. Migrants from the southern border whose time in city shelters has run out. The nonprofits helping them simply don't have the funds to house all of the people who often cannot legally work to earn money for their housing. Our Angeline McCall met some of those who say they have nowhere to go.
Across from the shelter where they were just staying, families have no other choice than the sidewalk outside.
No esperaba esto, pero nos tocó.
Ariana stayed at the shelter for 30 days before being told her family's time was up.
¿Qué te puedo decir? No se siente nada bien, pero cuando toca, toca. Buenas noches.
Her family is one of 4 sleeping in this camp tonight. Forced to leave the shelter this week.
¿Qué podemos hacer? No tenemos vivienda, no tenemos nada, pues nos toca aquí en la carpa.
A month wasn't enough time to find work and save for an apartment.
Sí se siente, está triste porque uno se pone a pensar y le pega la tristeza, uno nunca había estado así, yo nunca había vivido así.
They hope their situation today leads to something better.
Acá pues es una vida nueva, comenzar de cero pues, eso, comenzar de cero.
Tonight, even Ariana has more than others.
Aquí me siento con mucho frío. Sí, con mucho frío, de verdad.
Without a tent, food, or water,
Sí, ajá, sí.
Javier will stay here tonight.
Sí, primera noche que voy a pasar aquí afuera, debajo del puente.
Alongside him, other migrants with nowhere to go.
Mañana voy a salir otra vez por ahí para ver si consigo, si me dan trabajo.
He hopes the struggle he faces today will only be for this moment.
Nunca imaginé llegar aquí y estar así como estoy.
Until he finds the life he came here for.
Yo tengo fuerza, yo voy para adelante, yo nunca me arrepiento. Nunca voy para adelante con la fe de Dios y la voluntad de Dios.
Families in Denver should be able to stay at the shelter for 37 days and individual people for 14 days. Ariana and other families say that they were not allowed to stay there for the full amount of time. In Ariana's case, she was there for 30 days, which was a full week less than she was supposed to get. The city says they're looking into why that might be the case and why multiple families are reporting that, they're leaving before they're supposed to.
Of course, we know, Angelina, the mayor just went to the White House to ask the Biden administration to loosen some work restrictions to help people be able to work faster and legally. But any change on that front is a ways off. And this truly is a day-by-day, night-by-night struggle for folks.
Oh, certainly. And, you know, we were at this encampment off of Zunai, the one that we reported on last week. And that encampment, we were there and we saw none of the same people when we went back this week. And so very changing, you know, group of people. They're really trying to make their way through quickly. And, you know, ultimately they don't want to be in this situation. And in fact, some neighbors don't want these encampments outside of their buildings either. And so the migrants don't want it. Some neighbors don't want it. It's, you know, tough situation.
Indeed. Angelina McCall, thank you. So Veterans Day Saturday, it's a chance to say thank you to all those who serve and have served. A nonprofit in Colorado says more than thank you. They invite veterans to go on some life-changing adventures. That's why this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports Adaptive Adventures, which helps veterans and other Coloradans with physical disabilities experience the outdoors. Their adaptive cycling program for veterans offers clinics where vets with disabilities can try different types of bikes. They can find the right adaptive cycle for them and get fitted for the bike. This is crucial because until that happens, they can't get the VA to pay for one of those expensive adaptive bikes, and then hopefully they'll get years of comfortable use out of it. They also work with families. Adaptive Adventures has their Access Adventure Multi-Sport and Family Days out at Chatfield State Park. It's a chance for entire families to explore sports they thought might have been off limits because of a family member's physical challenge. They can do the cycling and the climbing and the kayaking and the paddle boarding. Learn how to do it right with the right equipment. Sport for life. Adaptive Adventure shows veterans and others with disabilities that what might seem intimidating or dangerous, with the right training and gear, that can become a lifelong passion. It's not an overstatement to say that they don't just open up the world of outdoor sports. This can have an incredibly positive mental health effect too. Text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to get the link to donate. I'll match the first 50 $5 donations to get started, as always. And this week, Adaptive Adventures has an anonymous donor who will match what we raise, up to $50,000. So every dollar we give is getting doubled. This Veterans Day, let's help Adaptive Adventures reach even more veterans in Colorado with one-on-one guidance and the equipment that they need to go and explore where they didn't think was possible.
I just want everybody to know that the struggle is real and being homeless and having your pets with you.
A day of free veterinary care puts people who've been living on the streets as well as their pets one step closer to permanent housing. And thousands of Coloradans are in for a raise after they staged the largest healthcare worker strike in history. One of Colorado's biggest employers has averted another strike. The unions representing Kaiser Permanente's workers have agreed to a new contract a month after they held the largest healthcare worker strike in history. That 4-year contract covers 85,000 Kaiser employees, including 3,000 in Colorado. Last month, Kaiser's nurses, medical assistants, lab and pharmacy techs went on strike for 3 days. They wanted higher pay and better hiring. The new contract sets the minimum wage in Colorado at $23 an hour. It includes a 21% wage increase over 4 years. Kaiser says this deal will not affect the cost to patients.
What a beautiful day today. Our fall storm is out of here, high pressure rebuilding over the area, and other than a few high clouds coming in, we have just a beautiful Friday and weekend ahead. We're warming into the mid-50s tomorrow, but 60s are possible Sunday into Monday. Not a lot of mountain snow, and I know the resorts would love a little more help from Mother Nature. Temperatures have been in the 50s for the afternoon, still cooler than average, compliments of the east to northeast wind. There's moisture to the south and east of us, but only a few showers showing up on the radar in the form of snow around Pueblo and Trinidad and rain around La Junta and Lamar. Over the next few days, we've kind of got this progressive northwest flow. We're only going to see high clouds coming in, no rain or snow from any of these clouds coming in. So that warming trend means mid-50s tomorrow, close to 60 for Veterans Day on Saturday, and then sunshine in 60s all the way through the middle of next week. Enjoy.
Well, my dogs mean the world to me. They're like my new family, and I want everybody to know that it's not easy to separate from them.
The love of a pet can be a barrier to getting off the streets and into housing. I mean, imagine if you were told you would have to leave your pet behind. Today, veterinarians help both of them get a step closer to a place of their own. of the complications with Denver's plan to help people out of homelessness and into housing is love. It is the love and bond between people and their pets. People don't want to leave pets behind, and many shelters don't allow them. Dozens of people were moved by the city into a hotel shelter last month with their pets. And today, the Denver Animal Shelter came by to check on them.
Come on, Lola. Come on, Lola. Come on, baby. I just want everybody to know that the struggle is real in being homeless and having your pets with you. Yeah, she's very protective. She barks when she's supposed to. This is the mother, these are the babies. Hold on, you guys. And this is actually the first time they're getting veterinary care.
So some pets have an allergic reaction to the vaccines?
We're getting vaccines for the dogs, so I can try to get them certified so I can keep them. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay, baby. Well, my dogs mean the world to me. They're like my new family. They keep me good company. So they're like my new family because I don't have anybody really around.
Alrighty, so this one's gonna go back here. Are you ready?
I'm really looking for a housing that will accept 4 dogs and me, myself. Are you okay, baby? You okay?
People who are experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity often choose the relationship with their animal over finding stable housing because oftentimes pets are a barrier to housing.
All right, yummy. What's that? Oh my goodness, that was so yummy.
I know we choose to do this, but I chose this because I have nobody to look forward to. So it's really hard to not have anybody to call and say, hey, what are you doing? Or now I can wake up to them and say, hey, good morning, guys, you know, and be happy with them. But the struggle is real. Hey, Rambo, calm down. Calm down. Here, I'll grab one for you.
Your feedback on Colorado's comedian-in-chief, next. In honor of Veterans Day, our Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign this week supports Adaptive Adventures, a nonprofit that helps veterans with disabilities explore outdoor sports. They get vets fitted with adaptive bikes. They take full families on adventures, climbing and kayaking and paddleboarding. They not only lift people's physical abilities, but their spirits as well. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to join me and a bunch of other Coloradans in donating to Adaptive Adventures. We finish tonight with your feedback on Governor Jared Polis's unconventional announcement of the special legislative session to deal with property tax relief. Let's get that feedback. There we go. Okay, Jeff Gagliardi says, Kyle, the governor's skit was laughable, but for the wrong reasons. You call him like you see him. Thank you. Jeff says, can never understand how you and Nex have been accused of political bias when you're obviously willing to hold the governor and Dems accountable. Thank you for honoring the fine tradition of a free press. Karen writes, is Polis funny? No. I would say to him, don't quit your J job, but I don't want to discourage him from doing that if he's considering it. Karen, that's mean. That's not nice, Karen. It's just a joke that didn't land. We have those every night around here, and you keep watching. See you next time.